what they look like. Can you see? Oh man. There it is. Very pretty. There's the magnet. Alright, here they are. Custom made 1028Ps. They all read right at 6.1, 6.2 ohms. And a couple things I noticed, and I'm not going to bother with it, but you know, the Jensens had the little hole in the frame for the wire harness, and these frames are not exactly the same, and you'd have to drill a hole, and I thought about it, but then you know, it really doesn't do that much, and unless you were to yank the wires or something, and nobody ever does that, I don't think. They're the nice new 6-ounce Alnico magnets, 6 ounce. One thing I noticed that they put a gasket on the front and the back, just in case you're mounting them, you know, on the front of a baffle board. So hopefully, you know, I can get the screw past here. I know I can, and get the lock washer just to make contact with the metal, and just leave that gasket on there. I thought about taking them off, and they're glued on with a Elmer's glue type. Alright, I got the amp out. Here's the amp over here, and all I have to do is take the old speakers out and put in the new ones. And take off the wiring harnesses, unsolder them, solder them back on the other speakers. I'm actually going to put some just quick little alligator clips on the leads at first, so I can do a reverse polarity experiment for you guys to show that right now this thing is wired, these speakers are wired the opposite. The tip is positive, but when you hit the positive battery terminal on that, the speakers go in, which is the opposite of what you would normally think they're supposed to. But you don't know what signal's coming out of the amp, positive or negative. That's the way they seem to wire these, so I'm assuming that it's a negative signal coming out of the amp. Not that it makes any difference. That's what I'm going to do with the alligator clips. I'm going to play it with them all like I would. I'm going to finally wire it, probably. Then I'm going to switch them all, switch the polarity on all the speakers so that they move out first instead of in, and we'll see if we can hear a difference. I don't think you should, and you probably won't, but we'll do it anyway. Alright, here's the cabinet with all the speakers out, and I don't know if you can see, pretty thin baffle board, 1/4 inch. So we're ready to put the new ones in. Now this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is kind of what I'm dealing with and what I'm trying to remedy with the new matching speakers. As you can see, I really don't have 4 matching speakers in this amp, and I was thinking, well, maybe they're not working together like they should. You can see each one of them has been reconed by somebody else. In this, I don't know if you can tell, but that's an original cone. Still hanging in there. I can see I've got a slight little, looks like the beginning of a tear right there. I don't know if it really is. That can actually be fixed. A little glue, but this one moves a lot. I mean, the spider, everything's probably worn out, getting old, but it hangs in there. This one, I'm not sure who reconed it. Looks a little strange in the voice coil. This one doesn't seem to move much. When I hit it with the battery, this was done by, actually, almost felt like it had a little bit of voice coil rub. This is the new one that I just put in, the Nomex voice coil, and you see a different dust covers, just a hodgepodge of speakers. So Let's hope that the new speakers make it all act as one speaker, and I get a stronger bass, just better tone altogether. Also see the gaskets on these are tan. These are probably newer, black. But alright, let's get the new ones in there. Alright, here they are. I haven't put the nuts on them yet, but they sure look good. I certainly hope they sound good, because I think them being matched is going to help the amp a lot. So these may just stay in the amp permanently. And just, if I ever sell the amp, I'll sell the original speakers, and I would suggest probably somebody getting them all reconed eventually at the same time so that they match. Alright, there they are. Got them bolted in. I'm going to wait overnight and just let the gaskets settle in a little bit, make sure they're nice and snug, and then I'll do the wiring harnesses and put the amp back on. Okay, I got everything ready for the test. Did a little internet search. I forgot what I was looking for, but either way, found an interesting note in Gerald Weber's desktop reference book, which I just bought a used one just to have. But he mentions exactly the situation with the Bassman putting out an inverse signal, and he suggests that anybody that has a reissue Bassman should try switching the leads on all their speakers to be the opposite, because he actually said that you will hear more low end if the speakers are moving forward when you hook them up. And with the inverse signal coming out of the Bassman, that means you have to hook it up in reverse. So he suggested trying to hook your Bassman up opposite of what it is, so that the speakers will move forward. Alright, bear with me on this one, because this is going to get long-winded, I can tell you. But it may be worth it if you want to buy these speakers. Alright, long story short, I was trying to get these, well, short story long probably. I was trying to get these amps to sound pretty much the same at the same settings before I recorded. I concluded that as good as the speakers are, and they sound just like P10Rs to me, the amps didn't change a whole lot, except for, it sounds a little fuller because they're matching now, speakers. But kept fighting it, and decided it had to be a tube difference or something. And I was saying, shoot, I could have saved myself $430 or whatever it was. But it was worth the experiment for sure, and these are great speakers. But either way, I told you to be long-winded. Turns out, this is the Holy Grail over here on the left, the 1960. I mean, a lot of amp guys use this as their, amp builders use it as their reference point. And I use it as a reference point too, trying to get this one to sound like it. And it's almost impossible. I mean, when you've got the mojo in an amp, it's hard, you can't duplicate it. Even Fender probably can't duplicate it. And it shows right there, because these are only a year apart, except this one has new tweed and now new speakers. But either way, I decided I would change the V1 preamp tube, because that's where all the tone comes from anyway. As I cool it off, took it out, turns out this, some reason a while back I put a 6072, which is just a low noise 12A Y7, which is 40 times factor for gain. And I've always had an RCA 5751 in here, which is 70 times gain. So I go, oh, you gotta be joking. And all I had to do was change the tube, and I probably could have kept from having to change speakers. But like I said, it was worth it. I'm glad I did. This is the test. I put the plexi between the amps to try to separate the resonance between the two amps so that they don't influence each other. And this is just a test to show that it's negative, positive polarity on the speakers. If you flip them, it's not going to make any difference in the sound. But I found in that Gerald Weber book, Desktop Reference, which I mentioned earlier, that he says that on the Bassman you do have to have positive to negative on the speaker, you know, flip them opposite. So here we go. This is the way I will probably wire it. This negative to the positive, positive to the negative, and the speaker actually goes backwards when you hit it with a battery. But that's the way you're supposed to do it on these. This is the new the 1028 Ps. Haven't been broken in or anything. I'm just going to do a short little thing on here, so we'll see if I'm going to flip the wires real quick and do another little clip and see if you can tell the difference. I'm going to go switch the wires real quick. Okay, I flipped the wires. So let's do it again. Difference. I'm going to flip them back around and we'll do another little demo. Alright, I'm just going to try to make this fast. I'm going to run through a few chords and whatever. Try to keep it equal on both sides, but I'm on the right amp, 1959 with the new 1028 Ps. Believe it or not, that's clean. I don't know. I do have the Vibe Baby in cancel mode, which gives it a little boost, and I've only got it on about a little over 3. I'm not sure where all that gain. Oh, it's the 2, probably the 57, 51. Here's the 1960 reference point. Alright, now I'm going to add the Alienist clean boost. Pretty bright, I mean, they haven't been broken. Now it's clean again. Here's the 60 clean. Pickup. And I'll do the Alienist. Alright. Let's add a little OCD here. P's in the 59. That's the Eminence and the OCD, no OCD. Hopefully you get the picture. Alright, one last, I gotta change back to the Nash guitar. That's the 60, 59, 60 again. You'll be disappointed with it. I mean, those things would have about 30 minutes on them, so you'll get to hear what they sound like over the next few months. I'll talk to you guys later.